Hello there everybody, how's it going? It's Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I am coming to you on this Friday, March 10th, 2023 with my next update video. Real quick here, happy birthday to Michelle, Bendy Stitchy, and also Margot. Happy birthday, y'all. Big day for birthdays, plus it's March 10th, which means I feel like we should all pull out our black samplers because it's 310. But I'm not. But anyway, so I am here for an update video 1 month to the day since my last update video, and that was totally unintentional, but things and stuff. So, before I run off on that tangent, we have a lot to cover today. It's been a month, and I work on a lot of projects each month, so I have everything that I've worked on, mostly, and we'll talk about it for the last 4.5 weeks or so. I also have some plans, have the littlest bit of haul, and have some FFOs to share with you. Not 1, not 2, not 3. Let's call it 4. We'll call it 4 FFOs to share with you, and I'm really excited about it. So, let's jump in. Let's get it going. Actually, okay. Before I do, I think that I'm going to film next week sometime. It will be a really fast turnaround, and with the plans that I have for the next week, I don't anticipate having a whole lot of projects to share with you. But with the way that I like to time things out, it would be best if I was to film again mid-month. And we're just not quite there yet. So what I'm going to do is when I film next week, if I film next week, let's not write anything in stone here. If I film next week, then any Q&A from the last several months that I haven't addressed yet, I will cover in that video. If there's anything that's relevant to bring to the table in video. I'm also going to talk about books in that video because I am like 30 pages away from finishing this book that I have super enjoyed. I have been about 30 pages from the finish for 2 weeks now, and it's that like bittersweet ending of a book. I'm not quite ready to leave this story yet. So I will have some books to talk about next time when I film, if I film next week. So we're just going to take care of the necessities for today, and that would be the Mountain of Whips. You can't see the depth makes no difference to you, but there's probably about 2 feet of projects to my left here. It's a lot. So let's get going, and let's talk about some FFOs. So I have 3 FFOs that, I mean, whatever. So let me show them to you and then we'll discuss. So I have some Mill Hill kits here that I have finished over the years that I finally crossed the fully finished line with them. This one was the most complete. I had the hanger already done, and it was already cut out. The perforated paper was already cut out. So I just backed it with some bright red felt. So super quick. So there is one. The next one was also pretty close in that I already had it cut out. I already had the paper part cut out, but I needed to do the hanger. And so I did the hanger with some leftover white beads from another Mill Hill kit that I'll probably FFO later this year. But yeah. So that is the way this one turned out. And again, I used the bright red felt just for the Christmas ornament. And I think I need to do this one again with Baby Does Stuff's initial there. Maybe. Or, you know, since the S is for our family, I guess this one works for all of us. This one was the least ready to be FFO'd. I hadn't cut this one out of the perforated paper yet, and so I painstakingly did that. And this is the biggest of the three. And I love this one a lot. This one has some memories because I started this one at StitchCon 2018. A beautiful friend, you know who you are, gifted me some Mill Hill kits because I had talked about the fact that at the time stitching on Mill Hill kits when I had a headache, that was the way that I could keep stitching. And so she very, very kindly gifted me a couple of Mill Hill kits. And then I got the retreat headache that I get all the time. And so I started this at StitchCon 2018, which is pretty cool. So yeah, like I said, I had to cut this one out. I had to do the hanger, and I used some, back when fusion beads was a thing, they would send like small samples of some other random beads that you didn't order. And so these are some size 6 Delica beads in a kind of a chameleon gold to maroon color. I thought it was pretty. And I backed this one with some buffalo check felt, which I thought was really cool. I found that at Joann's, and so I just thought I would do something a little bit different for the back of this one. So there's 3. All right. This one is a classic case of planned out better in my head than I was capable of executing. So this did not turn out nearly as magnificent as I had built it up in my head to be, but it is what it is at this point. So here's what we've got. I really thought about using this one as clickbait because this is an FFO'd chatelaine. This little design here, this little Easter egg, was something that I started during Stitch Mania 2016, and it is a chatelaine. I don't know if it's still available. I don't know if it is. Have a look. I will do some searching while this is processing, and I'll link it in the description box if it is still available. I think it was Easter egg 2009. I think Martina was doing an Easter egg every year. So it's got some specialty stitches and some beads in there, and that was a 2-day chatelaine. And so I really thought about clickbaiting this video, entitling it "I FFO'd a chatelaine." So this did not turn out as cute as I had built it up in my head. But I did frame it or finish it on a greeting card. It was in the wedding section at Michael's, and so I thought it was really pretty with that scalloped edge. It was just something a little different. I could not find the dies for the stamp, so I got this really pretty big floral stamp, and I could not find the dies. And the one of the employees at Michael's, I asked them where they were, and they didn't even know. So I just decided to get creative, and I got some paint and did a stamp with that stamp and paint. So I had envisioned putting a paper bunny here of some kind of a neutral background or a neutral cut. And so I bought some at Michael's, and they were humongous. They were way too big for this. So then I ordered some die cuts off of Etsy. I think I might need to invest in a paper die cut machine for myself. But anyway, so I ordered some from Etsy, and I didn't love any of the colors of the ones that they sent. They sent 8 or 10 total, all different colors, and half of them had one ear that was bent down, and I thought that was really cute. But the colors that they sent were really garish. It was not suited for this IMHO. But they did send along some free Easter samples, and this was in there, and I thought, okay, well, that's really kind of cute. So we went with that. The problem is that the bunnies in profile that I bought from them, that I paid for, were a lot less wide. And so I have a lot less room here than I had envisioned. And so I had to trim this down in a way that I was not planning on. I was planning on doing a bit of a frayed, squared off style, and it just didn't work out that way. My what is it? Aleene's spray glue is ancient, and the nozzle for the sprayer is like caked with old glue, so it doesn't quite spray like it's supposed to. So all of this is going to be undone very easily. The bunny is on there with some foam dots so that it kind of jumps off the card a little bit. The egg, I didn't want it to be at the same level as the bunny, but I didn't really want it to stick out this far. But I just used a small cut of foam core to offset it from the card to punch it out a little bit. So it didn't turn out like I like. I don't like that the bunny has this margin here, but then the egg is like slipping off the side here. I'm going to try to scoot the bunny over and maybe that will make the difference, but I don't know. I don't like the way that the egg was cut. I mean, listen, this was a dinky little thing that I'm sure most of y'all forgot I ever did. It has been sitting in the to be finished bin for years. And I'm sure most of y'all forgot about it. To be honest, I forgot about it until I started digging and looking for things to FFO this year. So, it's okay that it's nothing to write home about. I do think that if I can do a banner here that either says Hello Spring or Happy Easter or something cute like that, that will even things out because it looks a little bit unbalanced. So anyway, that's my long sordid tale for this FFO that did not turn out how I planned it. Why let finishes sit in your under the bed box when you can spend $85 on craft supplies to be totally disappointed? That's how I feel. But anyway, so that is FFO. We're going to call this a half a finish because it's maybe not totally done, but also maybe it should be. So this one is a surprise. I wasn't expecting to have this today, but I got the phone call from Michael's yesterday that my piece was all finished and it was all ready for me to pick up. Yesterday was the scheduled day, but I didn't get this phone call till like 7 o'clock at night, so I wasn't expecting it. So I went and picked it up today. Let me rephrase. My husband went and picked it up for me today, and I am geeked. I am so excited about this. So I have talked about my Buy Me a Coffee link, and I have said that any money is through there. I'm going to use to get some framing done and to get some fully finishing done. And I want to take a second here to say a huge thank you to anybody who has bought me a coffee and made this possible. Thank you for lighting the fire to get me to fully finish some things that I'm really geeked about. And thank you for your help in doing that. So let's take a look at the first one that has been framed as a result of your amazing, amazing generosity. Here she is. This is like the only place I can do this without the glare. And even there's still some glare, but that's okay. So here she is, all finished. How cool is this? I made some interesting choices with this. I went into this thinking that I was going to go for a no glass situation with a dark cherry wood style frame with no mat. But I don't know if it's just me, but like I'm super susceptible to peer pressure and seller pressure. And so he convinced me to go for the glass and the matte and a different frame than I was expecting. Now I love the matte. I think it's gorgeous. You know, I love a deep purple. So yeah. Plus I think it pulls out the berries a little bit. So I'm good with it. I'm totally good with it. I love this so much. So this is the Needleworker by Little House Needleworks, stitched on 32 count vintage country mocha Belfast linen from Zweigart, using, I believe, all of the called for threads, if memory serves. And here she is all done. Oh, I'm so excited about it. I think this one's going to go on the wall behind me if the glare isn't too severe. If the glare is all right, then she's going to live on the wall right behind me. Until I get, in this moment, back home. But anyway, I'm super geeked. I really like the result. I know that we went with a lighter frame that was darker around the edges, but the way that I had built it up in my head is that this was going to be ugly. I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased with the result. So there is my Needleworker, all done. Oh, so exciting. Good stuff. So those are the FFOs I have to share with you this time. And now we're going to go back to regularly scheduled programming where I plan on having one each video. Not this many, but I had to make up for last time. And Mill Hill kits, they feel like gimmies a little bit. Just they're super quick to finish up. So anyway, so those are my FFOs for this time. Before we dive into the works in progress here, I just have to send out a couple of specific thank yous. One to somebody who wishes to remain anonymous, and also to Olivia. Thank you both so much. They both bought me a coffee, and I just so appreciate it. I really, really do. And I find myself a little bit lacking for what I want to say to effectively say thank you. But thank you. Really, really thank you. And I'm in the process of choosing what the next one is going to be to go to the framer. So hopefully I'll be able to do that here very soon, very soon. Okay, let's get into the works in progress. These are the whips. These are the things that I have worked on in the last month. Buckle up. I hope you brought some stitching and something to drink because it's a lot. Okay, when last we spoke, way back when, I was working on the Moonlight Sampler, which lives in this project bag. This is a bag by Vintage Owl Lady, and I've seen recently she's had this print come up again and again. So if you love this as much as I do, keep your eyes peeled. So like I said, Moonlight Sampler, this is by the Blue Flower. And this was one of my Whip Go calls for February, and I had another day and a half left on my rotation with this project. So the progress that I made since my last video, I mean, it's not a whole lot, but it's something. And so here is where I got to. And I know that last time I had talked about my reservations with the way that these flowers were turning out, and I am feeling better about them now. So full disclosure, it is a super gray, super rainy day here. And so colors are going to probably be a little weird. But anyway, we'll roll with it. So anyway, so that's where the flowers ended up with their stems and centers. And I'm okay with the way that they have turned out. They look a little better in person than they do certainly in this light today. I think they're all right. They're not the focus piece of the design, but they're not meant to be anyway. So I know that I mentioned wanting to get over to stitch the Luna Moth. And so I started the Luna Moth. And I love it. I mean, what can I say? I love it. I love the way that that is turning out. It's really, really gorgeous. and I think it's going to sing once I have it all the way finished. I think it's really going to glow and draw attention. So very excited about that. So this is a project that I started in 2021 on Thor's birthday, what would have been Thor's birthday. And because this was a 2021 start, it got 3 days or 1,300 stitches, whichever came first. So that is where this project will stay for the rest of the year, unless I finish all my goals early. Which for a lot of my projects I'm having a hard time with. I oscillate between being okay with it and also struggling with it. But I have a lot of projects to get to. So this is on a 40 count Newcastle linen in Prairie Dust by Coloring Cotton. It was a fabric of the month from at some point over the last couple of years. I am stitching using the called for DMCs. The overdyes I have pretty much totally overhauled to things I had in my stash that were close or equivalent. The one exception to that is that the Luna Moth calls for a Weeks Dye Works, for which the name of it escapes me, so I'll put it on the screen here. And so I did order that thread to stitch the Luna Moth as called for, because I didn't have a great substitution for that color. So anyway, so that is Moonlight Sampler, and that's where I got to after 3 days. After Moonlight Sampler, either I spun the wheel or I was in the mood or something. I went back to Personal Sunshine. I know that I had put in a couple of days on this at the beginning of the month, but I had big goals for it for the month, and so I had to get back to it. So it lives in this project bag, and this bag is by The Brass Button. Super cute. So this is Personal Sunshine by Heaven and Earth Designs. The artwork is by Jeremiah Kettner. Preview here of what this will look like finished. This is technically out of print. So Jeremiah Kettner is no longer being charted by HAED, and I have a lot of feelings about that. I also want to say a quick shout out to everybody, I mean all 8 of you who tagged me or messaged me to let me know. I don't know, that warms my heart quite a bit that y'all know that I'm a bit of a fanatic of Jeremiah Kettner, and you want to be sure that I got all that I needed. I have quite a few of his charts in my stash, and so I am not lacking in that department. Anyway, that contract ended on March 1st, and so this is technically an out-of-print pattern now. So here is where I got to, and forgive all the parked threads everywhere. It's my method. It's the madness. This is on a 25 count Lugana 1/1 full cross. This is just a generic Lugana. It's not one of the pre-gridded ones. And I was working on page 8 here. And when I spoke to you about this last time, I had made my way further into the page. I think I was beyond the 50% mark, or maybe just at the 50% mark at that point, maybe. But anyway, I finished the page and got some cool stuff going on here. So some more of the purple hills in the background, some more hair, and some forehead. And we even have an eyebrow and an eyelid here. Kind of cool. So that is where I got to. I got the page finish, my second page finish of the year on this piece, 5 more to go. And my next page, page 13, is the bottom. It will hit the bottom. It's a little bit smaller than a standard page. It's only about, it's a little less than 6,000 stitches. So that's pretty exciting. So this is the project that I have selected for By the Numbers 5000. By the Numbers is an event through the Full Coverage Fanatics group on Facebook. And my goal for this piece, like I said, is 7 pages. So 5,000 stitches a month will get me there pretty quick, like. And with the bottom page being just under 6,000 stitches, I'm probably going to aim to finish that page this month, which will mean I will be almost halfway to my goal at the end of March, which would be really cool. My plan for By the Numbers has changed a little bit, but we'll discuss when it's relevant. I got a lot to get through today, so we'll discuss that at a later date. Anyway, that is Personal Sunshine by Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Jeremiah Kettner. Called for DMC, except Anchor Black subbed in for the DMC. Okay, so y'all seem to enjoy the numbers, and so let's talk about the numbers here real quick. I am now at 37,979 stitches of 106,000. That is 35.83%. I think I talked last time about how I wasn't quite sure if the math would work out that I would reach a third, and I did that like the next day that I worked on, and I reached the 33.33 repeating percent mark. So that was really exciting. And then I crashed right through that, and I'm nearly at 36% now. So that's pretty fun. In my last video, Stitch Pal said that I would finish this on 2/18 of 2038. And after this most recent rotation, it now says August 5th of 2035. So I've shaved off 2.5 years in just a few days. So that's pretty exciting. Thank y'all for being supportive of the numbers and for taking that information and along with me and seeing that was interesting. I loved it. I love looking at that. So we will continue to do that for these pieces that land in Pattern Keeper. I can discuss those things with you. So there is Personal Sunshine. There are a few projects that I don't actually have to show you here. There are some things that either I worked on for a day or for very few stitches, and so to try to shrink this video down to something manageable, I decided that I'm just going to insert before and afters for those pieces. They will come up this year and later on in the year, so you will see them eventually. It's just that in the interest of shrinking down the time a little bit, I decided to cull where I could. So this is the first, my next project is the first of those, and that is Fantasy Cell. And the reason that I don't have that one is that that's actually what I'm currently working on. It was just easier to just leave that on the stand and to just insert my before and afters for my February progress. So this is a piece that I would very much like to finish here in the first few months of the year. And so I have committed to doing at least a page of what I have remaining each month. And so it took me 3 days in February to get page 7 done. And that included the little center leaf medallion thing. So I did that. And so here, once I'm done talking, you will see the before and afters to show you what I accomplished in that rotation. After Fantasy Sal, I spun the wheel to get back to WIPGO because WIPGO is a big thing for me this year with 6 projects a month. Yeah, I have to be continually working towards that goal. So spun the wheel, and my next WIPGO piece to be called was one I was a little apprehensive about, I'm not gonna lie. So that lives in this project bag here. This is a Momily bag. And the reason that I was apprehensive about this is It was the longest since I last worked on this piece, and when I last worked on it, it was just when I started it. So it took some refamiliarizing, and in particular with this piece. So this is Fairy Moon by Mirabilia. This is Mirabilia design number 2, I believe. Yes. And this is out of print. This is an original from 1993. I know that this one was in the reprint in 2018, but I have an original here. And I was apprehensive working on this because it had been so long, and it's on dark fabric. And I have mirrored this piece so that she is facing in the opposite direction. And yeah, so I was nervous. So this fabric is 28 count cashel linen in Shadow by Picture This Plus. And so Picture This Plus linen is a choice. And dark Picture This Plus linen is also a choice. So that's why I have the 28 count, to try to offset some of that, because Picture This Plus linen, it shrinks quite a bit. And this one has lots of beads, so I wanted to make sure that they would fit, and so we are on the 28 count. When I started this piece, I stitched the skin 1/1. But at the time, I was stitching the skin very differently than I do now. I tend to add and subtract stitches to make the lines of particularly the face make more sense. And converting to 1/1, things can get a little blocky. And that is the case with her face. Her face it ends up a little bit blocky in places. And so once I backstitched her face, it didn't really get any better. It kind of got worse. So I pulled out the backstitch on the outline of her face. And I am going to go in and just try to smooth things out a little bit, so that they make a little bit more sense, and so that things are a little bit smoother. But I wasn't fussing with all of that this time. We were in the latter half of February. February is an insanely short month. It goes by so fast. I had a lot of projects left to get to, so I just needed numbers fast. And so in 2 days, I did this. Now, this is a 2018 start. I started this with Belinda Aussie Stitcher all the way back then, to celebrate, I think it was an anniversary of our friendship. And I was really, really geeked to get back to it, but yes, apprehensive. Because this is a 2018 start, my goal for the piece was 3 days or 1,300 stitches, whichever came first. And so it's terrible that this project has sat for nearly 5 years, 4.5 years at least, and all it got was this little rotation. So here's the thing. The goal was 3 days or 1,300 stitches, whichever came first. What I did not realize was that the only time that I have put into this piece before now was 2 days. And one goal of mine is to bring everything up to at least 5 days of progress. And because I accomplished my 1,300 stitches in 2 days, I'm still not there. So this piece will come out again. I believe that I'm going to bring it back out for its WIP birthday in August. Just to try to get it to that 5-day mark, for the first time in 5 years. Yeah. So that's the plan with this one. You will see this one again later on in the year. And hopefully I can get the skin finished up here and get into the dress. But we'll see. So that is Fairy Moon by Mirabilia. Ooh, beautiful. And I love that you're seeing the purple in the fabric. It's a beautiful dark fabric that makes me think of The Haunting at Hill House. But anyway, there's Fairy Moon. After Fairy Moon, another wheel spin, another WIP Go project came up. And this one is August by the Cricket Collection. And this is another one that I haven't worked on since I think August of 2018 as well. It's been a really long time, and I barely had anything into this one. Now, this is a 2016 project, and so it will get 2 rotations this year. It will get this first one, which was 4 days or 1,600 stitches, whichever came first, and then it will get another one somewhere down the line. So, this is on a 32 count Zweigart linen in, thank goodness I have the tag, pearl gray. And here is the progress that I made in 3 days. I managed to accomplish the 1,600 stitches in 3 days. Nothing is done. Nothing is done. Except for the letter U and the letter G. The second letter U and the second letter G. The first letter U it still has a few stitches, a few rows down here. Nothing is finished. So, and that came down to time and also thread stash. I'm missing some colors from my master set of DMC. And so I wasn't quite able to finish the inside of the lobster or its antennae. The castle still needs a flag, and then there's an umbrella and a seagull, and then there's another seagull, and the rest of this crab guy here. The seahorse still has some spines missing. Anyway, nothing is done. But I had so much fun working on this again. I was all about these Cricut Collection monthlies for a long time there. And after finishing the short ones, April, May, June, and July, I got stalled and I got a little, I guess, off track. And so this one sat for a really long time, but I was really excited to get back to it, and I did enjoy the rotation. What I have found with this rotation is that I pretty much get to a point where I reach my goal, and that's it. That's all I have time for. There's no real wiggle room for Sweewee. There's no real wiggle room for spending more time on a project than the absolute minimum. So that's kind of a bummer, but it's a necessary step for me this year. So anyway, that's where I got to with August by the Cricut Collection. Okay, the next 2 projects are the other 2 that I don't have to show you here, so I will insert before and afters once I'm done talking. The first is The Swans by Cottage Garden Samplings, and the second is Touching the Autumn Sky by Mirabilia, also out of print. So The Swans, I worked on its birthday, on its WIP birthday on 2/22, and I did 150 stitches. It wasn't a lot, but it was just something to commemorate the day. I started that on Super Duper Tuesday last year. It was 2/22 of the year 2022. And so I just wanted to work on it on its WIP birthday. I had some unexpected stitching time that night, and so I just decided to work on it. The next project I worked on was Touching the Autumn Sky, and I don't have that to show you because I did very little on it. I needed it for reasons, but it came up for WIPGO here in March, and so that will get some love here this month as well. So you're going to see that here in the next few weeks. So that's why I didn't bring those to show them this time, but you will see before and afters right now. Up next, I'm pretty sure I spun the wheel or I made a decision. We were in the last few days of February at this point, and I needed to get to the piece that I broke up into 12 equal parts to try to get finished by the end of the year. So that lives in this gorgeous project bag by Hillside Rookery. So in this bag lives my Glory of Autumn by Dimensions. And like I said, broke this piece up into 12 equal parts, and I am trying to get it finished by the end of the year. This piece is a lot. You know, looking at this, you think it's just not that complicated, but it really is. It's just really complicated. It doesn't help that the charting with Dimensions kits just makes it a little bit extra challenging. It's just a challenging piece. I enjoy the challenge, but it's a challenging piece nonetheless. I am all the way up here. My February section was majority this giant orange tree and some more fun stuff over here. So I have swapped the fabric for this one. It came with a 14 count Aida. I subbed it for a 28 count antique white cashel linen, and I got my section done, and it took me 2 days. Really? Yeah, 2 days. It feels like a lot longer than that because it's a challenging piece. But again, I'm only working on this side right now for a little bit. So yeah, that's where we got to. Now, I mean, I always end up doing some extra stitching. So you can see this line here is my February section, but I've done some extra stuff, carried some colors down. Because this isn't in Pattern Keeper, parking, it's still my jam. Parking is still my thing, but it's more difficult without having Pattern Keeper to help me remember what's what. I have become spoiled by Pattern Keeper. I freely admit it. So anyway, I love this. I love these colors. They are beautiful, and this is a lot of fun to work on. I just have to be in the right headspace for it. So there is that. And you're going to see here the breakdown of my sections, so you can sort of see, it's a very rough estimate, but you can sort of see what's coming up here for March because I have yet to work on it this month. Kit thread and following the chart. If it says use 6 strands, then I use 6 strands. So there is that. Fun and challenging Glory of Autumn. We're almost to the end of February here. So my last project for February, my last WIPCO project for February was another one that I was a little apprehensive to get back to. So this lives in this project bag here. This is a stitch and button bag. I can't believe we made it this far, and this is my first stitch and button bag of the day, but here we are. And so yeah, in here lives my Anniversaries of the Heart, and this is just the first one here. I had talked about when I talked about planning things that I might work on the February block, but I had worked on the February block for anniversaries, or not anniversaries, for a year at Hawkhorn Hollow, and this one I already had the January block started, so I just decided to stick with that and to just work towards that January block. And I was super excited to work on this again, and I really enjoyed the 3 days that I gave it. Nope, 4 days. And I'm sad that this is all this project is likely going to get this year. For a couple of reasons. First of all, the block's not finished yet. So here's something really interesting. These are the called for threads. Every single one of them. Gas, Tweaks, Dyeworks. I think that's all there is. Look at this. Isn't that wild? So it's really the cider mill brown that has changed quite a lot since this was originally printed. So I'm not mad at it. I'm not changing anything. I'm not going to rip anything. I'm certainly not going to rip anything out. I just find it fascinating the color difference, which is very interesting. My fabric is a 40 count Newcastle linen in almond by Silk Weaver, and I put in my kiddo's initials, and I got a little teary-eyed doing it. Just because when I started this piece, she existed under no capacity whatsoever, and now her initials are here. They're here. So this piece has lots of places in which, in the whole 15 block series, has lots of places where you can put in dedications. And it also has these letters, just kind of just extra dedication spots. And so I have assigned each block to a member of my family, or to a couple members of my family as it pertains. But then my friends over the years are going to be represented in these extra little ones. I'm not going to tell you who these people are, but yeah, so there's that. I haven't yet decided if it's going to be all women or if I'm going to expand that. To be determined. We'll see. I'm kind of a small circle person, so it's we'll see. Anyway, so that's what I got to with my 4 days. This is one of those pieces that was going to get 4 days no matter what. If I did 1,700 stitches each day, it didn't matter. It was going to get 4 days effort because I had worked on it exactly once when I started this piece in 2020. So that is Anniversaries of the Heart. Okay, so here's a great opportunity to wrap up February because we have finally reached the end of February for the most part. So let me give you some end of month statistics. I had 1 0 stitch day in February, so pretty good. 27 of 28, ain't half bad. In those 27 days, I did a sum total of 16,874 stitches, and I had to check that statistic because that sounds like a lot. And it is a lot. It was a lot. I worked on a lot of projects in February, and I must have maximized my time as much as I could because that's one of the better Februaries I have in recorded history. It's not quite as good as 2020, but nonetheless, yeah, nearly 17,000 stitches in the shortest month. Not only in like number of days, but like it's just over in a blink. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty remarkable. I had 1 page finish, and that was Personal Sunshine page 8, like I showed you, and no other regular finishes. I did have 1 new start, which I haven't shown you yet, but it makes a little bit more sense to show you in the March projects, and you'll understand that very quickly here. So those are some end of February statistics, and I will show you what my WIPGO boards looked like at the end of February. It also shows you what my WIPGO projects are for March here. I'm also going to insert the collage that I created of all of the projects that I worked on in February. And I got some really positive feedback based on that from last time, so we're going to continue that trend. I will insert those collages so that y'all can see the mashup of everything that I worked on. I think it was 11 unique projects again, which is wild, but that's the way it's going to be this year. It's going to be a lot of projects each month. So that covers our statistics for February. Let's get into March. So March is a lot of things, and 2 of those things are kind of working together. So they are Stitch Asia, which is sort of led by Abby. She's Bella Stitch, and sort of working in concert with that is Stitch for Pride 2023. So Dee created some prompts for us to do some learning. and to do some thinking and some creating. And it kind of is, the prompts this month are working in congruence with Stitch Asia. And I have wanted to get on track with Stitch for Pride 2023, and so I am tackling both this month. I was super thrilled with the WIPGO calls for March because one of them was something that can work for those things. And so that is the first project that was spun for me for the month of March. And that lives in this project bag. This is, again, a stitch and button bag. Beauty and the Beast. And in here lives my Beauty and the Beast. So this is by Donna Stitch. Ariel, who is the designer behind Donna Stitch, is based in Hong Kong. And I was so excited to work on this. I was in the mood for some block color stitching, and I'm just glad that this is lining up with Stitch Asia and subsequently Stitch for Pride as well. So I am stitching this on a 32 count cream Belfast linen from Zweigart, and this is a project that I started during Stitch Mania 2016. It is huge. It's not full coverage, but it should count for full coverage because it's big and dense. There's a lot of stitching going on here, and it's a lot of block colors, so I have to be in the mood for that. And I was in the mood for it, and this was the first thing to spin from March for me, which was so exciting. So this go around, I worked on, so I filled in the white in a lot of places, not quite all of it. I couldn't reach it with the way I had it set up in my frame. I couldn't reach these sections here, but the white in this leaf and over here I filled in. I also finished out this blue section and put in some more sparkles, and I got going on the stairs. Those stairs. I would almost rather go jump on the stair climber exercise equipment than stitch on these stairs. It's a lot. It's a lot of long rows, and I'm not even really into it yet. Lisa from Lisa's Stitching and Such, she has stitched this and she finished it, and she said that the stairs, watch out, because they're intense, and she is not wrong. They are intense. So I was kind of alternating between working on the stairs and doing some of this over here, working on the mountain of 3808 that is called for. So anyway, I had a lot of fun working on this. Because this is a 2016 whip, it is getting 2 rotations, the first 4 days or 1600 stitches. And I did 1600 stitches pretty quick, like I think 3 days. If I'm in the mood for block stitching, I can get lots done pretty quickly. But I'll be honest, it's not sustainable. Block stitching for me is not a sustainable thing. And so once I hit that 1600 stitches, I was ready. I was ready. So that is Beauty and the Beast. Now, this is Pattern Keeper compatible, which is phenomenal. And so I have some similar statistics for you like I do with my full coverage designs. So I am at 11,626 stitches done of 31,971. That brings me to 36.36% complete. So over the 1/3 mark, which is pretty cool, considering I haven't even reached the far right side yet. That's pretty exciting. And Stitch Pal says I will finish this on 4/27 of 2034. So about another 10 years at the current pace that I'm going. But I haven't worked on this in a couple of years. And so I imagine that that number is going to tick down the more that I work on it. So that is Beauty and the Beast. Okay, because I've been doing a lot of working on multiple projects in a day, where to put this next one, I wasn't quite sure. So we'll talk about it now. I have my first start of the year and my first finish of the year. So I guess I have my first SAF, which is pretty cool. At the end of February, I said, I've had it. I have had it. I need to have a new start. I'm in the mood. I want to have a new start. And so I just decided to go with something that I had either very little prep work to do or was already kitted for me. And so I decided to go with the thing that I have been wanting to get going this year. And that is the monthly Quakers from the Heart Needle Art by Wendy. And so my original plan for this was to stitch them over 2 on 46 count. So 1 thread over 2 linen threads on 46 count. So making them a little tiny. But as I said, I had reached the point of I have had it. I need to have a new start. And I don't have much in the way of 46 count. What I do have a huge stash of though is some antique white 28 count cashel linen. I have a lot of that. And so I thought, well, let me stitch these on 28 count. They'll be a lot bigger. And then I went, what if I stitch them over 1? So I decided to stitch them over 1. And because I made that decision, because they are this small, I decided to go with the DMCs rather than an over-dyed conversion. It calls for Classic Colorworks, but because I was in the mood for an immediate start, I would have to do a conversion because I don't have a Classic Colorworks stash. But because I'm doing this so tiny, you might never see the variegation in overdyeds, and certainly not in subtle overdyeds. Like, you're just never going to see it. So I just decided to simplify and go with DMCs, and I'm so glad that I did because I love it. I love the way that it has turned out, and it's just so beautiful. And it's my first SAF. It's still in the Q-snap because I keep, I'm getting prepped to start another one here in the next couple of weeks. I might scoot the Q-snap over a little bit so that I have better access to this part of the fabric, but anyway. I think it's so gorgeous. And super dinky. I mean, here it is compared to my hand. It's super little and super adorable. So my plan for these, I think I'm going to turn them into little dinky pillows. Listen, this whole year has been a bit of a mind shift for me in that I'm thinking about the fully finishing, which is unfamiliar territory for me. But these, I think I'm going to turn them into little pillows because I have monthly series aplenty. I mean, I have the series from Cricket Collection. I have started some from the series from Cottage Garden Samplings. Monthly series aplenty. But none of them are suited for pillows. So I think that these will make some tiny pillows. So that's my plan for these. I'm going to stitch them all using the DMCs on 28 count 1/1 antique white cashel linen. Super, super cool. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. I finished this earlier this week. So this was a piece that I was kind of doing a here and there again, 100 stitches a day or 30 minutes a day or what have you. I did have a couple of days where I stitched a lot on this piece. I stitched this whole motif one night on Virtual Stitchers. So anyway, a lot of fun. About 2,500 total stitches in these designs if you're curious, because I count all my stitches. So that is my January Quaker. In the conversation about Stitch Asia and Stitch for Pride 2023, I don't have a lot of projects from Asian designers, Asian or Pacific Islander designers. And so this month I'm going to be starting a couple of things to have a few more things to be able to work on for Stitch Asia for many years to come. And so on March 4th, I had my my first new start for the month of March. And so that is this piece by Soda Stitch. I have several Soda Stitch pieces in my stash, and I had yet to start one ever. And so I decided that now was a really great time. Soda Stitch is a Korean designer, and I love the whimsy of their designs. I don't love the charts because they're humongous, and they're not, because they're glossy, they're difficult to copy, and anyway, it's not a huge problem. So I put this to a vote with some friends, and this one won out. It was a narrow margin, but a victory nonetheless for the Life Liquid. So I got this one started, and I decided to stitch it smaller. It is on a 40 count linen. There aren't any quarter stitches or half stitches in this piece, so I thought that it would lend itself to 40 count. And so here's where I have got to. Forgive the hanging threads and whatnot. Again, madness method, that sort of thing. So this has become my new piece that I work on at least a little bit every day, aiming for about 100 stitches, but that's nothing concrete there. This is one that I'm not going to try to finish this year, but I would like all of my new starts to have 5 days and at least 1,300 stitches spread out amongst those 5 days, because I'd like everything to have at least 5 days effort. So this I'm going to work on until I reach those thresholds. So yeah, this is on a 40 count Newcastle linen in driftwood by Color and Cotton. This fabric was actually a gift from Mandy. Mandy wasn't too thrilled about 40 count, and so she sent it my way. So thank you, Mandy. I think it's gorgeous for this piece. So I have some plans for this project. I think I'm gonna leave off the back stitch, espresso pot, and coffee grinder. I don't think these sections need labels. I'm also going to leave off these labels for each of the coffees because I just don't think it's necessary. I will still leave coffee here and the redundant coffee on the mug here and the back stitch text here, but the labels I'm gonna pull off of this one. And I have my FFO plan for this one as well, which is cool. It's cool to have that in mind. This one's going to take a while. It's a pretty big piece, so that won't likely happen this year. But anyway, so that is coffee break. Okay, we have one last project to get to, and that was what I spun after Beauty and the Beast. Because keep in mind, January Quaker and Coffee Break are both kind of my bonus stitching, if you will. So the next project to get spun lives in this project bag. This is by Vintage Owl Lady, and I love the whimsy of this fabric. And in here is a piece that, if it didn't come up for WIPGO, probably wouldn't get worked on this year. And that is Falling Snow by Shannon Christine Designs. So preview here of what this will look like finished. This is a Pattern Keeper design, and so I don't have it here to show you. This is my snow day project, and we aren't likely to see measurable snowfall this year at all. Not once. I have lots of feelings about it. My family has heard enough. Oh, good, that fabric's showing up pretty accurately. This is 32 count Belfast linen in Caribbean Blue by Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. It even kind of gives off a chilly look to me. That's kind of cool. So yeah, so this is where I got to with Falling Snow. This is a project that I started in 2022. So my first 2022 piece to come up. And like I said, it's a snow day project. We got lots of snow in 2022. Not a bit this year. I think I've seen snowflakes fall once. Yeah. I'm really salty about that. So anyway, as a 2022 start, this piece was on the docket to get 3 days or 1,300 stitches, whichever came first. And I did that. I have now done that. I did about 1,400 stitches in those 3 days. And I found myself not in the mood for block color stitching. After just completing a pretty fast rotation on Beauty and the Beast, I was not in the mood. But anyway, that's what the wheel spun, so that's what I went with. I am stitching this using DMC. The white here is 3865, and then I'm also probably going to use the teals called for. It's 3808 and 3810. I'm probably going to use those colors because I think they'll play nicely on this gorgeous blue. I think the irony that this is Caribbean, I think that's pretty great, that I'm using it for a snow design. But anyway, so I have crossed the halfway point. I started this one in an unusual place for me, but it's just the way that I like to stitch. And so I have crossed the halfway point. There are 7 complete repeats of this snowflake. So I have 4 of them with 3 more complete repeats to go and then another half. And these stitches here have crossed into page 1 finally. So I think that I'm going to have quite a bit more margin on this side than I allowed myself on this side, but that's okay because I have enough. Not a problem. This is a huge design. It has, let me think, where are my stats at? 21,092 stitches total in this design, and that doesn't count the beads that will go on a little later. So I am at 3,983 stitches of, like I said, 21,092. That puts me at 18.88% complete, and as of today it says I will finish this on 5/23 of 2028. So that's not so bad. Another 5 years at the current pace. I mean, I'm not working on it again until next year, or if we get a freak snowstorm, which is not out of the realm of possibility. So we'll see. We'll see. I know that most everybody across the country and in the Northern Hemisphere has had about enough of winter. I'm in the minority there, but that's okay. That's okay. So that is Falling Snow by Shannon Christine Designs. Got my goal, done for the year. As I mentioned, I'm working on Fantasy Sal currently, and so that ends the works in progress that I have worked on in the last many weeks. So let's talk about some plans. I have some really fun plans coming up. As I said, I have a couple of new starts left for this month to coincide with Stitch Asia. You will see those at a later date. But I do have one new start that's not for Stitch Asia that I'm starting tomorrow, and I'm so geeked about it. So I have recently started watching some new FlossTubers. I will admit that I have kind of gotten away from watching new FlossTubers for a while there, and I was just watching the people that I was familiar with, but I have started getting back into watching some new folks. And one of those new folks is Cross Stitch Kate. I believe that she started her channel this year, and she's fantastic. I love just about every single thing she stitches, and so I spent one weekend where I was just binge watching her videos. I think she's up to 4 videos now, and in the midst of one of these videos, she brought up this design, and said, if anybody else wants to stitch this, let me know, and we'll do a stitch along. And I immediately chimed in and I said, I would love to start that. If a SAL comes together, let me know. So a SAL has come together and she let me know. And so we are starting tomorrow, March 11th, 2023, we're starting. So it is this sweet little sampler by Little Robin Designs. It is Charlotte Griffiths, and I'm geeked. I'm ready to get this started. This was a market release last year, I believe. Yes, last year. Copyright 2022, and I'm excited about it. I'm really geeked to get this started. I haven't picked my fabric yet, but I did get all of the threads. And so here they are. These are all of the called for threads. I do have one question mark. I ordered my threads from 123 Stitch and they did not have Loganberry, but I have a huge Gentle Arts stash, and so I pulled Loganberry, and I have two very different Loganberry. So we'll see how these are used in the design, but I am stoked to get this started. I mean, nothing here is used in like a super high volume, so I bet I could go with that higher variegated one and be all right. But we'll see where it's used, and then I'll make that determination then. This does call for Buckeye Scarlet, and so I have some feelings about that. But I bought the Buckeye Scarlet because this isn't a hokey sampler. It works. Is anybody else like dumbfounded that an 8-year-old did this? Dumbfounded. The original sampler, the antique, was done by an 8-year-old. Yeah, that's fascinating and amazing. So anyway, we're starting this tomorrow, and I will have to raid my fabric stash to find something. It's going to be a 40 count, more than likely a color in cotton, because I have quite the stash of that. So there's that. And then, like I said, I'm going to work on Coffee Break as my kind of bonus stitching each day until I hit the thresholds. At some point coming up here soon, I'm probably going to start another in the monthly Quaker series. I haven't decided if it's going to be February to continue in the timeline, or if it's going to be March, because it is March. I haven't decided. We'll see if I'm feeling pink or green. So there is that. I'm in the mood for some full coverage stitching, and so I think that I'm going to forego the wheel and instead work on Personal Sunshine next week. My by the numbers is it's changing. I don't think that working on 4 projects each month for full coverage in addition to WIPGO is sustainable. I didn't manage it at all in February, and so we're gonna see. The plan is to still do Personal Sunshine for 5,000 stitches, but it may oscillate between some projects, especially with how far ahead I am on my goal for Personal Sunshine at this point. So we'll see. And then it will be up to the wheel to decide how I work on WIPGO projects in the next few weeks. So you will see next week what I end up working on next. So that is it for the plans. Because my life is based on a wheel these days, plans is never very extensive. So let's talk about a little bit of haul. It's a very little bit. I have been stalling this video to try to wait for my market pre-order because it's going to be delivered today. It's out for delivery, but my USPS doesn't usually deliver until about 5:30, and it's only 3:15 at this point. So I don't think my market pre-order is going to get here today. I placed my pre-order with Abby Topknot, and she's still on the more East Coast. And so she and her sister got things shipped out super fast, and I'm really excited for it to get here. So I'm going to insert here some things, the things that I picked up in market. I was super restrained. I kept it to a list of some things from some friends and also some must-haves. And then anything else I'll pick up later if the must-have status becomes attached. So even though I don't have the things themselves to show you here, I'm just going to insert here the previews of what I picked up for market. Top of my list, I knew I was going to make a market pre-order because of this piece, and it is Remember Me by Teresa Kogut. I think that this piece was a Patreon design at some point for a while, and she has released it for market this year. There is somebody on my Instagram handle here on the screen who has been working on this, and I have fallen in love with it every stitch that she shows. I mean, just I'm head over heels for it. The border, the sentiment, it's gorgeous. That's gonna be an early April start, so that is a for sure gonna happen. I also picked up the Vanity Sampler by Hello from Liz Matthews. So I joined Liz's Patreon, and I saw her market preview video before she dispelled it with the world. And now, of course, they know all of this is irrelevant. But I got a couple of days advance notice, and I thought for sure it was going to be the Forest Sampler for me. And then she started talking about this Vanity Sampler, and I was a goner. I just, it's so beautiful. Not to mention the concept behind a Vanity Sampler. It's so funny. It's so amusing to me. I fell so in love with this piece that I actually bought the fabric, the called for fabric. This is 40 count fiber on a whim in Affogato. Yeah, this is the called for fabric for that, and I snatched up a piece as fast as I could. Will I actually use this? To be determined. Who knows? Okay, a couple of other things that I picked up, and I'm going to do this pretty rapid fire because my family just got home. I picked up Majestic Birds by Kathy Barrick because the corners on that's just so stunning with those specialty stitches. And I had to pick up a couple of things from some stitchy friends, so I picked up Draven's Flight by Ingleside Imaginarium. I love this Raven dragon, beautiful. I mean, just so cool. And the Honey Craftsman Sampler by Stitchy Prose. I love a Stitchy Prose design, and so I definitely had to pick up that one. So very exciting. Okay, two more things that I have purchased that I want to share with you. The first is a Reflet Soie that I have, it popped up on my Instagram when Reflet Soie was getting ready to release this, and I fell in love with it. I have such an attraction to French samplers, and this one, I mean, it just got me. So this is Germaine Blanche, $18.99, and it's a stunner, and it's humongous, and it will be beautiful in 175 years when I finish it. No plans to start this. I have one last purchase that I want to discuss with you. So this was a spur of the moment kind of a scenario. I thought that I was going to do a Reflet de Soie birthday start along for my birthday at the end of April. I thought for sure that it was going to be either Ernestine Briere, which I have in my stash, or Germaine Blanche. Or it was going to be one of the French samplers on Creative Poppy. I know that Cozy Egg, Michelle, and I were talking about a French sampler on there that is stunning. So I thought for sure that that was going to be the plan. And then I was watching FlossTube, as you do, and I was watching Carolyn of Czook Stitch, and she showed this design from Madame Lefay, and I fell in love with it. I was head over heels, like, I need this now. I need this now. I have always really been into the Madame Lefay designs, but this one stopped me in my tracks. So I navigated to the Madame Lefay website, which is all in French, but it's fairly easy to navigate. And I downloaded a PDF of this design, or I purchased a PDF and then it was emailed to me the next day. It is not Pattern Keeper compatible at all. I wasn't able to get it to work in Pattern Keeper at all. So now you know. I tested it out and it didn't work, which is okay. That's all right. I can work off of the paper pattern. It's not too bad. This is what I'm going to start for my birthday. And so details forthcoming, but I think we're going to do a French, something French birthday sal for my birthday at the end of April. So keep your eyes and ears peeled. Is that the expression? Yeah. For French designs, Jardin Privé, Reflet à Soie. There are several on Creative Poppy, Madame Lefay, etc., etc. Keep your eyes peeled for a something French design for my birthday this year. I haven't done a birthday sal in a long time, so why not now? So that is it for the purchases. I just want to say thank you everybody so much for watching. I know that this is a big video. It's quite a long one. And I so appreciate y'all spending some time with me today. I hope that everybody's doing well. I hope that you're stitching. As always, be kind, and I will see you in the next one. Probably next week. All right. Bye, y'all. I could not find the dies. That face you make when your printer starts making noise for no reason.